Welcome. This is Plus Profile number 39. A Plus Profile is where I take people interested in the upcoming MMORPG, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, and we find out a little bit more about them. We find out what MMOs they've played in the past, some of their favorite MMORPG stories, and even what types of food and drink they like to eat while gaming. Today, we have Prekzuzin. He's part of the Plus Guild, and I'm so excited for you to learn a little bit more about him. Onward and upward.
What will your name be for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen?
It'll probably be Prekzuzin or some variation thereof. Prekzuzin was just a character name that I used in Star Wars The Old Republic, which I still play today. And the reason why it's just completely random generated, but the reason why I stuck with it is because I knew on Discord and voice, nobody's going to call you Prekzuzin. They're just going to call you Prek. Prek sounds very much like prick. And so I figured, well, you can get a couple of chuckles out of that. So I just stuck with it. And sure enough, to the day, some people still call me Prick. So it worked.
What race class combination are you going to play for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen?
My original thought was it's going to be a ranger, just because in EQ2 I played a ranger and I love the class. But the more I watch Pantheon and the classes, I really think the monk is going to hold a very vital spot in groups and can be very versatile. I believe if they're geared well and the abilities, you can tank, but off-tanking and grabbing stuff when things go south could be very important. So I'm like, when I was watching that the video of the guys going through that dungeon, I was thinking if they had a monk in that group, things would go one heck of a lot smoother. Minus wouldn't have to mez everything. He could actually DPS and do his job. And so I figure like a monk would be an ideal class, but I might just revert back to ranger. I still have not decided.
How did you hear about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen?
So as I mentioned, I still play Star Wars The Old Republic, but I'm pretty much done with the game. It just holds little interest for me right now, so I'm looking for an MMO. But I dabbled into Guild Wars, Elder Scrolls, WoW, and it's just they don't have what I guess I'm looking for. And I just on Google, just Googled stuff, and I came up with Pantheon, and I clicked on it, and I read, and I go, this is what I want. And then I read how far away they are to release, and I'm like, darn it. But I'm definitely gonna stick with it. Every time I hear an update, I get very excited.
Do you have a guild for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen?
Pantheon Plus was generous enough to accept my application.
What is your favorite MMORPG that is not Pantheon, and what did you like about it most?
It would be the original EQ, well, not the original EQ, but EQ2, which was my original game that I played. I never played the original. I started MMOs as EQ2. Actually, I played MUDs way back in the day of dial-up modems and everything, but EQ2 was my, I played that at launch, and I just, I played that for like nine years, and then immediately after that I played Star Wars The Old Republic, which I still, like I said, I still play today. But EQ2 was definitely my favorite MMORPG.
What is your best MMORPG story?
I got two of them. One of them was in raid. I can't remember the name of the raid. We were at a raid boss, and I was on my ranger, and the mechanics of the fight was a couple of seconds after the fight, the boss would phase, I think, 3 DPS. And those 3 DPS were kind of put into another dimension where they could see zombies or skeletons, I can't remember. And they had to kill those guys before they got to the boss. Because if they got to the boss, there was a raid wipe. And we pulled it, and I was never dumbly. It was always melee classes, assassins, and everything. And they couldn't kill it. They couldn't kill these zombies in time because the zombies had as soon as they got into melee range, they just got punted or something, or stunned. I can't remember exactly what it was. And we just kept wiping. And then finally, the boss selected me. And because I was a ranger, I've never fought these guys before, so I didn't know what to expect. And so I spot one, and it was pretty far away, and I auto attack it, and it instantly died. And then I'm like, what? Well, that was pretty easy. And so I tab, and there's the next one, and I auto attack, and it instantly dies. And I'm like, what the heck? And I tab to the next guy, and auto attack, boom, instantly dead. So I killed all 3 before the other DPS even knew what was going on. And then we phased out and continued the fight. And everybody's like, what the heck just happened? Why was that so easy? And it was just being a ranger. And the second story was in EQ2. I remember when the Fabled weapons came out, and I believe it was Kunark. I can't remember the expansion, but the Fabled weapons came out, and it was a huge storyline. And the first place the Rangers had to go to get their Fabled weapon was this open instance, and they had to go fairly deep, and they had to click on. So at the very first day of launch, in this opened instance, there was about 36 Rangers just running around this open instance. No other class. There's just Rangers, and arrows were flying everywhere. It was complete chaos. We all helped each other just get to this one spot to get the update, and it was a blast, I gotta say.
What is the most difficult raid boss you've ever beaten, and why?
In Star Wars The Old Republic, I play a gunslinger, which is the equivalent to a ranger. It's ranged. And nobody wants a gunslinger for that fight just because there's too much movement, and the gunslinger is just a turret, basically. You just sit there, and that's how you do all your DPS. When you have to move, you lose a lot of DPS. And so, but I refused to play other classes. I was just a one-trick pony. And I was convinced, and I was stubborn enough just to stick with it and figure out how to DPS this boss. And so we ended up killing it, and I was like, because that game allows you to play various different classes very easily, people would just switch to another class, even if they did main the gunslinger. But I refused. I was like, I'm going to kill this on my gunslinger, and I don't care what other people say. And so I did it, and I did it fairly well. And I was like one of the only gunslingers, just because nobody would want to do it because it's such a pain. But I did it.
Do you like PvP better or PvE better?
I'm all PvE. MMORPGs, I think I take the stance with minus on this one, and I don't think PvP should be an MMORPG. The PvP group, the people that play these PvP, they're maybe a small portion, but they have a very large voice. And for some reason, the developers in other games cater to these PvPers, and it ruins the PvE side. Class balance becomes out of whack because PvP isn't balanced, and so they make tweaks to classes and abilities which affect PvE, and it ruins it. MMORPGs, the way it's meant to be, is classes are not supposed to be balanced. Some classes are meant to do some things and not meant to do others, and you can't convert it to PvP. It's just, that's why I'm pretty hard stance on that whole PvP shouldn't be in an MMORPG. And I hope Pantheon, I know they're still talking about it. I just hope they just scrap PvP. They didn't go away.
Are you main for life, or are you an altaholic?
I'm a main guy. As I mentioned, my other games, I bring the main. When I figure out what my main is, that's what I like to do. I will make alts, of course, but it's all about the main. Yeah, it's definitely main.
Do you like crafting? And if so, which kind?
I do usually tend to craft. I try to be self-sufficient, but the way MMORPGs, you're not really meant to be self-sufficient. But I tried it in EQ2, way back in launch. They had these. I don't know if you remember, if you've played, but they had these. I can't remember. They're like the acronym warts. I think like water, resin, something others, where you needed all of these and they were crafted by various different crafters, and so you couldn't be self-sufficient. So I tried to make I don't call those alts. Those are just there to craft for my main. That's how I use alts. Again, so I try to be as self-sufficient as possible. So in EQ2, I had poisons were very important, so I made an alchemist. Arrows were very important, so I did make a woodworker. And so I will try to be a crafter that helps my main, not to make money. I can't be bothered playing around with the auction house or the vendor or like any of that. It's just to make my character better. That's why I craft. So I don't know for Pantheon what that's going to look like.
What is your favorite gaming food and or drink?
Just energy drinks and coffee. That's my drink, just to try to get that caffeine. I'm old. I need stimulus to keep up.
What is your favorite piece of gaming hardware?
It'd probably be my mouse. I got my Razer Naga, 12 buttons on the side. I used to be a clicker way back when, but then I got this mouse and it was all hotkeys. And so it's definitely hotkeys from now on. Can't imagine anybody clicking nowadays in MMOs.
Do you have any gaming profile or social media links you'd like to share?
Absolutely not. No. No. I use Discord. I'm not a big social media guy. Don't like it very much, to be honest. I have my Discord, and I'm very happy with that.
Is there anything else you'd like to mention?
No, not so much. Just obviously, I can't wait for this game to come out.
When do you think Pantheon Rise of the Fallen will release? Month, day, year?
I couldn't. I can't even predict it. Let's hope Alpha is this year by the end. So let's say Christmas Day.